Welcome to Galveston Unscripted.
Galveston, Texas, and Italian immigration and influence. Italians have a long history in Texas. The earliest Italians arrived during the years of Spanish exploration, 300 years before ports opened up along the Texas coast. Although these early Italians did not settle in Texas, these explorers arrived with Spaniard Francisco Vázquez de Coronado in 1541. Italian settlers first arrived in Texas in the late 1700s, settling in and around Nacogdoches and modern-day East Texas, working as farmers, miners, brickmakers, and railroad workers. The first winery in the state was established in 1883 in Del Rio, Texas, founded by an Italian. Immigration into the Republic of Texas opened in the 1840s, in ports like Galveston and Indianola. Europeans sought land and prosperity in the expansive, fertile territory of Texas. Galveston was second to only Ellis Island by number of immigrants passing through the port. For context, what we know as Italy today, in the 1800s, was a patchwork of small governments and ununified regions known as the Italian states in a constant form of instability. Italians began to arrive at a slow rate in the mid-1800s and found much success with businesses like ice cream parlors, restaurants, tobacco stores, and law offices. After the American Civil War, Italians began to arrive en masse. In 1876, an Italian Mutual Benevolent Society was formed to provide assistance to fellow Italian immigrants. This society helped with the immigration process, to find work, and even purchased a plot of land in Calvary Catholic Cemetery and built a mausoleum, known as the Italian Vault. The vault served as a resting place for deceased members until burial could take place in the cemetery. The bulk of Italian arrivals at the port of Galveston occurred between 1896 and 1920. Italians not only arrived by sea, but moved from all over the country to Galveston to improve their lifestyle. By 1906, half of all grocery stores on the island and a quarter of all confectionaries and shoemakers were owned by people of Italian heritage. Galveston's first Columbus Day celebration was held in 1912, which highlights the growing community and expanding culture. The celebration drew a large crowd, in which the Galveston mayor spoke about the grit that Italians possess. Multiple sources cite Italians as being very involved in civic affairs in their community, which makes a lot of sense considering most had fled Italy due to economic and political corruption. Imagine buying your seafood from a fish peddler named Luigi Cobellini. He had been born to a prominent family in northern Italy. Due to political unrest, he led an attempted seizure of Rome in 1867. And was forced to flee his home country. Cobellini came to Galveston, and after a few years of selling fish, he became a labor leader. He then acquired a fleet of fishing vessels and became one of the most successful businessmen in the fishing industry in Galveston. One sentiment that echoed through Italian communities, to be without family is a state of non-being. For Italians and Italian Americans, the family unit is placed above one's personal ambition. To these Italian families, food was the symbol of life. Plentiful food in the kitchen was a sign of family well-being. We can thank this sentiment for the wonderful Italian food that Galvestonians have been able to enjoy for decades on the island. Galveston was home to the newspaper Il Messaggero Italiano, an Italian-language newspaper published in Galveston and San Antonio from 1907 to 1913. For Italian Galvestonians, whether Catholic or Protestant, membership in the church was a pillar of culture. Italian pragmatism, individualism, and superstitions made waves with the predominantly Irish religious structure in Galveston. However, these churches in turn have been influenced by Italian heritage, with religious practices, celebrational feasts, and even entire services in Italian. Galveston is no stranger to aspects of Italian-American culture, including the phenomena of Italian-American mafia activity. From the 1920s to the 1950s, Galveston was dubbed the Free State of Galveston, in which gambling, drinking through prohibition, and prostitution were all tolerated on the island, mainly because local authorities were being paid off. Two men of Italian descent, Sam and Rosario Maceo, owned and operated establishments such as the Balinese Room, the Hollywood Dinner Club, and many other bars, clubs, and casinos, which operated with impunity thanks to the payoff of police, politicians, and major organizations. After decades of Galveston being the progenitor to Las Vegas, thanks to its Italian influence, the Free State of Galveston was officially shut down by the Texas Rangers in 1957. Regardless of why Italians moved to Texas, they brought with them their strong cultural identity, which has been defined by traditions of food, faith, and family, and in turn has shaped Galveston's culture today.
For historic resources or more information, check out the episode description.